All right, this is the Brian Hornback Experience, episode 74, and I've got another candidate running for public office in 2022, and this is over in the 1st District, and it's independent candidate Reginald Jackson running for the Knox County School Board. How are you, Reginald?
I'm doing fine. How you doing, sir?
I assume Reggie's okay, right?
That's fine.
All right, good. Anyway, hey, congratulations on getting into the fray. Evity Satterfield's not running for re-election. There's a couple of Democrats that are running in the Democrat primary May 3rd. You and another candidate. We don't mention other candidates because this is your time on the Brian Hornback Experience. But so you kind of get a free pass May 3rd because you won't be on the ballot May 3rd. You'll be on the ballot on August the 4th. Early voting is July 15th through the 30th. So what provoked Reginald? First of all, talk to us about Reginald Jackson. Are you a native Knoxvillian? Did you go to school in Knoxville? Tell us about that.
Yes, sir. I am a native of Knoxville. I am a 7th generation in this town. I love Knoxville. I went to school at West High School for my high school, and then I went to Northwest Middle School. And so I am from Knoxville. I love my town. I also went to the military for 8 years, and then after the 8 years was up, I wanted to come back here and serve my community.
What branch of the military did you serve in?
Army.
All right. Army. That's fantastic. Appreciate your service there. Now you are so now obviously school board's not a full-time job. So what do you do during the day?
I do real estate during the day.
Great.
That's what I do during the day. So I'm always all over the place, and I am all over the community. So I hear what's going on and I see what's going on, and that's what really prompted me to run, because I'm always out here and see that some changes need to be made, and I would like to help make some changes.
And you're a pastor as well, correct?
Yes, I was a youth pastor for a couple of years, and now I am a pastor now.
Fantastic. So, what are you hearing are the major issues in the 1st District? Obviously, when we talk about the 1st District, we're talking about East Knoxville. We're talking about primarily Austin East High School, all the feeder elementary schools and the middle schools: Vine Middle Magnet, Green Magnet, Saramore Green, Mechanics. I said Mechanics, but I meant Maynard Elementary. So what are obviously we know the big issue is obviously security at Austin East High School. We had 6 or 7, and I hope I didn't mess up that number because every life counts. But we've had several students after school that have gotten killed in and around Austin East. Obviously, we had Anthony Thompson Jr. that happened in the school. So kind of talk about what you're hearing about just the thought around the community and what all has transpired over the last couple of years at Austin East.
Okay, so the district is pretty big. The district itself goes from Howie Drive all the way to Hollywood, and so the district is big. And
wow, that's so going to Hollywood, that you've got from East Knoxville to West Knoxville.
It really, I do, and it changed because after they merged it always went to Hollywood, but after they changed it, now we lost Holston Hills in our district on the other side of Chadwick, and we have gained Sequoia Hills.
Wow.
So now I didn't lose a school. I kind of gained a school. Right. So I gained Sequoia Hills Elementary.
Wow.
And so now gaining that school means that this district is diverse, very diverse. So when you talk about safety and security, we talk about the whole district, and we have a pretty decent-sized district. And so when I look at safety and security, I can say this, that safety and security is laxed because you have to put the right people in the right position. You can't put people in position to look after kids and they want to be patrolmen. Right. And so there's a total difference there. I mean, I worked in school security, and coming from the military, working with children, working with adults, you got to treat people a little differently than the others. You always got to be on guard, but you got to treat people differently. So right now, the problem we having is the security. When you lose. Again, we lost 40. We had 45 black officers. In the 45 that we had, we probably lost about 30.
Wow.
In the stint of and it wasn't over 20 years. It was over about 4 or 5 years. So you lost it under the last chief.
So that was under Chief Gus Paducas, correct?
Right. Exactly.
Wow.
And so when you lose that, when you got 45 black officers, and that means that you have enough to cover all the schools to get that diversity. Because when an officer looks like me, I have a chance to talk to that officer, and if the officer understands. And then, like I said, the last deputy chief made sure when they were hiring for the school security that he would hire people who were from that community that could talk to people and hear what's going on. So if you were in the community, you lived in the community, you knew what was going to happen before it happened. And the kids had somebody to talk to. And that's in every community. I can't live in East Knoxville and then go work in Farragut because I don't know nobody down there.
Right.
But if I am living in Farragut and I'm right around the corner and somebody's saying, well, hey, my son, they're going to have a fight this afternoon, and they can call that officer and say, hey, this is so-and-so down the street. This is what's going to happen. That is what school security was all about. That's why they strengthened school security like they did. They went from 40-something officers, 50-something officers to supposed to have 108 officers.
Yeah, they've got quite a few just in the school security force, which was what Gus Paducas built up, and now we've got some guy from Los Angeles. I can't pronounce his name. I'll learn his name eventually, but yeah. So now we've got a new chief over there. But yeah, I mean it's the school security force obviously has grown exponentially, which, I don't, like you say, I mean, it makes absolute perfect sense what you just said, because obviously I grew up over in East Knox County before I moved to West Knox County in 92. Right. But, obviously the officers back then that lived in the Carter community knew, well, everybody in the community knew who I was, and they had no problem calling mom and dad and telling them what I did. So,
right.
So I mean, that was community policing, but we don't have that anymore. But it does make sense that you would take somebody that lives in a community, put them in a school, and like you said, the other problem that I see as a former school board member from 20 years ago, the problem I see is that somehow they need to figure out it. And the problem, I think, is when Gus Paducas came in, he came in from Knoxville Police Department. And he came in. He came in from had retired from KPD, came into the school system. The problem is that the school security officers, which are the ones that work for the school system, don't have the same authority that the ones that work for the sheriff's department and the KPD. The problem is the ones that work for the sheriff's department and the KPD don't understand and weren't told and weren't trained that you don't handle a school student in a school building the way you do a robber out on the street. And so there's not been any cohesive training between the three agencies. And that's what we got. We got three agencies trying to do one job. You got KPD, you got Sheriff's Department, and you got the school security officers all trying to do the same job, and none of them are talking to anybody.
Exactly. So
anyway, what else do you what else are you hearing about schools? I mean, has the 4 years with Evity, has it been beneficial? Are there things that need to be done differently? Not to be critical of Evity or be critical of Gloria Deathridge or Sam Anderson or anybody before, just to say, what do you see on September 1st when Reginald Jackson becomes a school board member? What do you see differently then versus today?
Well, I can say for then, I know Sam, I know Gloria, and I know Evity very well. The thing I found out is that you have to be the voice for your district. And I said this the last time I was on there. I gave her a letter grade, and I gave her a letter grade of D. So the letter grade didn't come from me. The letter grade come from the people of the community, and I'm talking about from Shahawi School all the way down to the Pond Gap area. You got to touch everybody, and this might be a part-time job. It's like preaching. Preaching is a part-time job unless you're a full-time pastor.
Right.
So you have to touch everybody in that church, and you can have between 5 members to 500 members, but you got to touch everybody. You got to know people. You got to have meetings with them. There were no community meetings, and I can say this from Sam all the way to Everty, there were no community meetings. Matter of fact, when I was in school, I didn't even know anything about, we wasn't taught anything about what was going on in our community. All we heard was vote president, and that was it. We never knew about our school board reps or anything like that. So, and that means a lot to know that, you have somebody that has a voice for you, but the voice was there, but we never had any meetings. And we asked that with Everty when she ran. Are you going to have, I'm going to have a whole lot of meetings. We're going to have meetings. We don't even know what's going on. Matter of fact, I talk about it now. Most of the people that are running for office don't even know that they done restructured the county.
Right.
And they don't even know that. And I talked to somebody the other day, and they was like, oh, I didn't even know that. So I'm not in your district. No, you're you can't even vote for me no more.
Wow.
So that's a big problem right there, that even with the teachers, the staff, administrative, there's a lot of issues going on, but there's nothing being solved. And so there's some changes have to be made. You got to stand up for your community, and you got to stand up for your district. And that's what counts. I'm talking about I got homeless all the way up to people who live in Sequoia Hills, that some people may say they don't need no help, some people that do need help. And so I need to make sure that I can touch everybody in my community, let them know that everybody is important, no matter who you are.
Well, I totally agree. I've been playing in this game we call politics since I was 16 years old. And, everybody can talk about national talking points, and we can talk about the president. But, the bottom line is you can't really affect what your federal income tax rate is going to be. But you can affect, how students are treated in the classroom. You can affect how professional teachers interact, how custodians interact, how cafeteria workers interact. And, the one thing that I guess I get frustrated about is that, we have two different kinds of employees in the school system. You have the certified teachers, we call those the certified folks. Those are the folks that have a teaching degree. They're licensed by the state. And then you have those folks who are that are school security officers. You have those that are cafeteria janitors, educational assistants, secretaries in the school. You have all of those. And, the problem is that every time somebody talks about raising salaries, they talk about raising the teachers, which, granted, everybody in this economy, everybody needs to be paid more.
Right.
But, the problem is that when you've got employees who've been around for 20 or 30 years, they've topped out of the pay scale. So they're not, even when they give a scale raise, they're still not giving it. I see where Mayor Kincannon and City Council is going to make it a priority in this budget to pay a starting wage of $15. Where are you at on that issue? Are you willing to let the cafeteria and the janitors and the school secretaries and the education, are you willing to do this a similar situation where they have at least a minimum wage of $15 an hour? Where are you at on that issue?
Well, see, working in school security, I remember we started out at $12.75.
Wow.
So you're going to want somebody at $12.75 to run out to somebody that will come in to protect your kids, that somebody might be coming in or somebody might have a gun in or something like that. You got somebody cleaning up, throw up, and you got the supportive staff running the school, and you want to pay them $19,000 a year. That's not going to work. That's not a living wage, especially for a single parent that's single and trying to make it. That's not a living wage. I restructured the school security budget all the way through. And then I even saved them $3 million.
Wow.
Restructuring it and even paying the officers more. But when I look at the supportive staff, I'm going to say from $18.75 to $23 an hour.
Wow.
That is a starting wage. And if you got the qualifications, you get paid more. If you're coming in new to this thing, $18.75. That's what they pay at the post office.
Right.
They pay $18.75 at the post office. And it's the crazy part is at the post office you're working all year round.
Right.
You're only working 200 days a year with most of the supporter staff, and when you look at it, it's only $30,000 to $38,000. The school system can afford to pay their supporter staff from $30,000 to $38,000 a year because they're only working 200 days a year.
That's a good point.
You're getting out of paying them for a whole year. And so if you can raise that right there, if we're going to raise some wages, because they're making $14 an hour at McDonald's and Wendy's, but we're talking people that are with the most precious thing in your life is your kids, and the bus drivers, the janitors, everybody sees these kids every single day, and they are interacting with your kids, and you're going to pay them $15 an hour. It's still a slap in the face. I think that if you're going to pay somebody, you're going to pay them a living wage of $18.75 to $23 an hour. That right there will be great. I will work for that.
Right. Well, that's a good point. What about now? I know Lonsdale's getting a brand new school. That's my dog deciding to shake all over. I don't know why he does that. But Lonsdale's getting a brand new school. What are the other school buildings in the first district? I'm sure Maynard probably hasn't been touched since I was on the school board. So what have you had a chance to look at some of the other school buildings and see what the capital needs are?
I looked at all the other school buildings. I've been in all the school buildings in my district, and I'm gonna tell you something. Every one of these buildings are terribly old. The crazy part about all these buildings, and I always go back to security because this is the most important thing in fire rescue. The radios don't work in the buildings. So if with the Anthony Thompson situation, even if they called out saying, hey, we want to close all doors, they would not even be able to hear the radios. And then on that day, it was said that the security officer's radio wasn't working the whole day anyway. Wow. So if they did call in and say we were coming in, if they did, the radios were not even working that day. So that's a problem. You got a lot of cleaning issues. That's another problem. And then, Lonsdale, granted, giving them a new school, we glad they did that. But, I proposed a deal when I was trying to run for county commissioner. I said, listen, we got Root High sitting right up here on the hill. Knock it down. Yeah. Knock it down and put a brand new elementary school up here and feed all the elementary school that you have that are old buildings, restructure, use them, put them in the private sell them, and then put all these kids in one school. They're all in the same area, and it's only 900 kids.
Well, I mean,
900 kids in the school. You can have the teachers. You got enough teachers to place them for the 4 schools in that area, and then you can change it. And then not only that, you send these kids to the middle school of Northwest.
Right.
Northwest doesn't have enough kids in Northwest. So, it's all about making changes. I mean, Bearden, I got some people down at Bearden. I used to work with a guy that his wife teaches down at Bearden, and she's saying she's not saying she doesn't like the kids. It's just overcrowded.
Right.
Once you have overcrowded, that causes problems. And so if we're going to make changes, the county commission and the school board has to work together to make these changes, because these changes are very important, very vital to our kids right now.
You make a very good point, because if you look at Maynard, if you look at Lonsdale, if you look at Westview, and I don't, yes. I guess Beaumont might be the other one. I don't know. Yes, you make a good point, because when they built Gibbs Elementary School and Gibbs Middle School, they built it for 600 to 900 kids. All the schools in West Knoxville they built have been for 800, 900 kids. So instead of just building a Lonsdale school for 600 when you've only got 450, and I'm just throwing out numbers. I don't know that those are the exact numbers, but it's pretty. I think it's pretty close. And that rural high school property, it's like, I know they're talking about doing something with it now, but it sat there on the taxpayers' balance sheet for so long, and basically just fell apart. They just sit there and let it go. So it makes sense that because once Lonsdale gets done, I'm sure Westview is going to be next, and I'm sure Maynard's going to be after that, and they spent some money at Beaumont. So granted, they're all going to need something. So what you suggest is not out of the realm of possibility in my mind anyway. So You know, what else have you seen or heard about the schools, and what's your campaign going to look like? I mean, I'm sure you've already been out talking. You got some events coming up and all that kind of good stuff.
Well, my campaign looks like this. It's always safety and security is the top, because if you can't keep it safe, it's hard to teach anybody or feel like you're safe. Technical and trades, we got to get that technical and trade path back going again, because everybody's not college material. But I can tell you right now, even if you are working a regular job and you do learn a little bit about this, it can save you money in the long run. Even if you're working at your home or anything like that, that's I'm a big supporter of that also. Dad's on duty. The problem that we have right now, we have a lot of students in District 1 that, either father's not in their life, or they needing that support. And this came from downtown. Matter of fact, it was an episode on TV, and it was going on somewhere else, and they called me from downtown and said, "Hey, what do you think about this for Austin East?" And I said, "Well, it's not for Austin East. We can start a program in Austin East and feed it through all the schools. I mean, it can go anywhere. There's a shortage of fathers everywhere.
Right.
If they working, or if they are military guys, I mean, anybody wants some help with their kids, especially if they're not around. So I worked that thing, and so I'm gonna push that when I get in there. A reading program with awards. See, when I was in middle school, I was in there with Miss Upton, and Miss Upton and a lot of the older teachers were there, and they pushed reading, but they also gave awards. You got the free pizza coupon. Hey, once I read so much, I went to Pizza Hut, got me a personal pan pizza. Give them something for reading. Don't just say you got to read. Give them something that they're going to award for reading. And I think that's a program, putting another program in there like that would be better. Also, financial literacy program. Our kids come out of school, they don't know anything about a checkbook, balancing anything. They got to know, if I make $30,000 a year, I know right now, if I make $30,000 a year and I go get a house, they're going to multiply that by times 3. That means I'm only going to be able to afford a $90,000 house. And right now in Knoxville, Tennessee, there is no $90,000 houses available for the last 5 years.
That's a fact.
And so we got to teach that. And the crazy thing is, I got a Monopoly game for my kids, and my wife said, "You know what? You talk about financial literacy. This right here, you can start this from K through 12, and it's just teaching the game."
Yep.
And teaching the game, that will help them understand and buying, selling this, keeping this, maybe not buying it right now, stock market, all that stuff. I got a guy that he is very much into that, and he is ready to start that program. We talked about, teachers pay. We want to try to get more black teachers back into the system. We want to try to get, there's a thing called Troops to Teachers. Everything that I come up with, that I see it working in other counties, other districts, other states. Troops teacher is, when you come from the military, they will pay for half your pay, the military does, and the school system pays for the other half. And you got a teacher for 6 years. You got a teacher that's combat ready, so you got a teacher that can help out with, be on a security team also, that the way they feel safe, they got some good views, they got some mentorship to help mentor some of these kids that are having some issues. The supportive staff, that was another main thing, talking about the pay.
Right.
Everything that I do, it doesn't come from me. It comes from listening to the children, listen to the staff, the supporting staff, and listen to the administrators saying, this is what we want. These are the things that we're looking for, and so these are the things right here that people kind of overlook. These are things that the school board can do. School board writes policies.
Right.
And policies, if you put policies in effect, that's from the superintendent all the way down. You will follow the policies that we put in place. If policies are followed, things like Anthony Thompson, things like that were going on outside Austin East, things that are going on in other schools would not happen if you follow the policies. And that is what school board is all about, writing policies and making sure people are following the policies that you put in effect.
So you're running as an independent. Is it just because you want to represent everybody? Do you have an issue? Are you not a Democrat? Are you not a Republican? What was the rationale for running as an independent? And our time's almost out, so that'll be my last question to you.
Well, the reason why I'm an independent, I went to the military.
Right.
And in the military, you don't take sides. You are independent all the way. And they kind of teach you that to say, hey, you stay out of it. You're not on each side. Whoever is in charge of you anyway. So that's how it works. That's why I'm independent. I want to bridge the gap between the independents and the Democrats and the Republicans, and be in the middle and say, listen, I hear what you're saying, I feel what you're saying, but we got to come to an effect that it's about the community, and in the school board, it's all about the children. If the children and the students are not here, we're not here. That's how I look at it.
That's a great point. And when I served, obviously it was nonpartisan. It didn't become partisan until the legislature said that school board would be Republican, Democrat, and it doesn't matter. Whoever gets elected has to serve the entire district. So It's not really a Republican, Democrat issue. Okay, so it's Reginald Jackson, independent candidate for Knox County School Board in District 1. He'll be on the ballot August the 4th. Early voting is July 15th through the 30th. They can find you on Facebook at Reginald Jackson. Just Facebook Reginald Jackson. You'll find him. And Reggie, I appreciate you being on the Brian Hornback Experience.
I appreciate it. Remember, if you want action, you vote Jackson.
I like it.
District 1.
I like it. Thank you. Bye-bye.